Well, hello, this is Rochelle and welcome to my channel. So for today, I'm using a printable by his palette, and this is the Armor palette or Armor printable, and it's got so much beautiful pictures and imagery in that I really wanted to use all of it, but I am working in a standard margin Bible, so I did want to use some trace paper that I use instead of vellum because it just works out better for me. So I'm using a calligraphy nib or a C-Nib pen by Faber Castell, Pitt artist pen. So this ink is an India ink, it is permanent, and I'm doing it on top of the trace paper using the words or the font that was used in this his palette printable, and I'm just tracing it. The C-Nib obviously helps to get that calligraphy look to it. And then what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to cut it out and put it through my Xyron sticker maker and quickly make stickers, and because it's on trace paper it'll just melt into the page. But first let's create a bit of a background. Like I said, I do want to do a tip in with this trace paper so that I can use all of the 6 elements of this armor of God, but I also really want to use this picture of this girl kneeling down. I believe in prayer, so there's that. So I took a Fab Scraps stencil that I have from their latest collection, Breathe, Just Breathe, and I used some Gelatos, and I'm stenciling onto the trace paper. I should not have done that on top of my Bible because yes, it did kind of cover one of my, or touch one of my other pages, but if you haven't heat set Gelatos and you use it in a fine method like this, you can just erase it with an eraser. So very happy about that. So having set or heat set the Gelatos onto this trace paper, I'm now just measuring because I want it to be a full page tip in, so just putting it into the very spine of the Bible and then creating a little line with a pencil where the Bible closes, and then cutting it with a knife, craft knife. So yes, I've got this kind of image, and I only have to do the background image on one side of the trace paper because it's trace paper, so it shows on both sides. Trace paper, like vellum, is a little bit icky with punching, so using a punch and then I had to kind of just do the lines with the punch and then use my scissors to round the corners so that this tip in is the exact size that I want it to be. Next, working in the margin itself, because Gelatos are translucent, you can see through them, so I'm covering the words but I can still read everything that it says, and adding a little bit of splatters that is left over on my palette from the Gelatos, just mixing some water with it and splattering it on the page, sticking down my girl. And then at first I thought I would want to try trace it directly, but it was difficult, so I do in the end want to do this technique where I take the trace paper and then put it through my Xyron sticker maker, which puts double-sided tape basically on the back side of this trace paper. With trace paper, and you'll see me use wet glue in the tip in, it's not always effective in that it leaves the lines of the wet glue, so to have a broad enough double-sided tape would also work, but in this case I have the Xyron sticker maker, so I'm just using that, and then spacing out the words so that it can have that little heading, the full armor of God. Just using my craft knife to cut out the center of this little key, and then just building a little cluster at the top with this ribbon and the button and the shield and the key, and no purpose or exceptional deep connection to it, just really wanted to do a little cluster, and initially I wanted to do my tab there, but then decided to do the tab directly on the tip in. So now my tip in page has got the tab on it to page it with. Using double-sided tape, a thin double-sided tape, to just adhere my tip in to the center of the Bible. I put it on the very edge of the trace paper, and then I'm going to pull away on both corners just a little bit, and then But first, let me stick the tab where I want it. And then, I'm going to pull away at both ends of the double-sided tape, stick those two ends in, and then once I'm happy with where they are, I pull away the tape completely. The reason why I do that is so that there is still some room for movement. Like you saw at the top there, I did make a little bit of a mistake initially. So if we go through the 6 elements quick, it is the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit, the helmet of salvation, the belt of truth, and the boots of peace. And I'm kind of using them size-wise back to back, so that when I flip my trace paper, there's not like huge pieces of white that I can't, or that looks out of place, if that makes any sense. So yes, you'll see that I'm going to stick some flowers and thingies when there is a piece of white that is sticking through. I really love this piece in Ephesians 6. I love that the message translation, which this one is, the heading is a fight to the finish, and it's speaking about being prepared. It's speaking about taking up this armor, and the armor obviously is the visual kind of image of what these things stand for. So your faith, the truth, the word, the salvation, the righteousness, all of those things show what they're, or is a visual reminder of what we have to put on to be able to stand. In other words, be with God. So there's my little page, and I hope you enjoyed it with me. I really love this printable. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Kimberly, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.